This is Mike Petrak, drummer from Virulence, and you're listening to CMS TV.
I always point to Vicious Circle by LA Guns. To me, my favorite record by them came out in '94. No one cared because we were into Soundgarden and Stone Temple Pilots and, you know, all that at that point. But that's a great record, and there's a lot of those records. It never and maybe it's just the United States is fickle. You can answer that probably better than me. But it just seems like the United States is so easily led by media where, like the Europeans, if they like it, they still like it 40 years later.
Yeah, they do, man. And when you play concerts over there, I mean, you got hardcore fans over there. They got their patches and they got their bands. It's like you know, they got a lot of mini gangs over there, kind of like, you know, in a weird way, like that's my band, Motorhead or whatever, you know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Over here, it's like, you know, just it's not even 5 minutes of 15 minutes of fame anymore. It's like 15 seconds of what may be the flavor of the week.
CHRIS Akin Presents. I, of course, am Chris Akin, and today on the show, we are getting, I don't even want to call this Blast in the Past anymore. This band is back. The band is Babylon A.D. They have a brand new release right on the backs of another brand new release, this one called When the World Stops. And here to tell us about the world stopping so that Babylon A.D. can rise again, it is Derek Davis. Derek, how are you, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Very excited about this new album.
Well, dude, now I'm going to tell you straight up, I have not heard the whole thing yet, but I've heard a couple of tracks, as well as obviously I heard Rome Wasn't Built in a Day a year ago or whatever it was when we chatted last. This band, Babylon A.D., might be stronger than even In the Day. You know, it just sounds like you're at a creative high point and sounds like you're having a lot of fun doing this again. So why don't we start there, man? What is it that's driving you after such a long time to bring Babylon A.D. all the way back?
I think it's a combination of things. A lot of fans over the years has, sent us messages and things like that. And getting two new members in the band kind of jumped the juices a little bit also, because both of those guys write too. And it just, I don't know what it was, man. You know, I mean, I did a blues album a few years back, and then I did a soul album. And then I just got the itch to do Babylon A.D. again, you know? We put an album out on Frontiers in 2017, and that was pretty successful. And then COVID hit, of course.
Sure.
It kind of messed everybody up, you know? So it was a process of just getting back on the horse and starting to ride again, you know what I mean? And since we started up about 2 or 3 years ago, 2023, actually, we put the band basically back together like it is now.
Okay.
And the juices are just flowing, just like you said, man. I mean, and we're just going and creating songs all the time, writing all the time. So playing some really good shows. So, you know, it's fun, man.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this, Derek. As you know, you're obviously a creative guy, regardless of music and talent and all that. You certainly are a creative guy and a guy that writes, I'm assuming writes a lot. And I see the guitars behind you. I'm assuming there's not a day that goes by that there's not a guitar in your hand, at least strumming out or working on a riff or something to that effect.
That's true.
So what is it about the past, let's say 3 years, that has been so much more inventive for you? Is it working with other guys again, or is it maybe just having, you know, a very long period that people didn't hear the music and you just wanted to show that again?
I think it's a combination of both, really. Like I said, Craig Pepe, the bass player, and Dylan Soda, who happens to be 24 years old. I mean, they just gave us a shot in the arm that we kind of needed, you know?
Sure.
And it's funny, when we auditioned those guys, we played 8 Babylon A.D. songs, and they played them perfect, just like the record. So It was no use going and looking for anybody else or anything like that, you know? And ever since that day in 23, I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it was maybe November or something like that, you know? We just been firing along. And as far as creativity goes, for me, I'm always writing. It doesn't have to just be Babylon A.D. either. I mean, I'm writing acoustic stuff, ballad stuff on the piano, you know, whatever it may be. But when I'm writing, however the song comes out, I kind of put it in a box, you know. Well, this one sounds like Babylon A.D. You know, this sounds heavy and hard rock, and maybe 2 days later I'll write something else, or a week later I'll write something else. Like, it had nothing to do with Babylon A.D.
Right.
You know, I just got to find somewhere, someday, where it's going to fit. So, but yeah, I think I just have a lot of time in the studio, and I love it, man. I swear to God, man, I am so lucky to be able to do this, you know. Really.
Sure. Is there a pressure, even if the pressure comes from you yourself, to write material that will fit toward Babylon AD, which is obviously your most famous outlet? You know, do you find yourself drifting that way because it is the one that people know the most, or no?
No, I don't. It's just like, however it happens, you know. I don't sit down consciously I'm going to go write a song. It never happens like that. I'd say 75% of the time be honest with you, you know, it's going to sound kind of strange, but I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm dreaming a song or something, or I'm dreaming a title of a riff and a melody. And I'm like, man, if I don't put that on my phone right now, and I'll run and jump up and go to the other bedroom and I'll sing into it. And I'll go, you know, I think the chords are G, A, B, C, D, whatever it may be. And I'll sing the lyrical line, what I think is really catchy. And then I'll try to go back to sleep. But most of the time I'm just writing the song in my head, you know? So I never know when it's going to happen. For instance, when we did When the World Stops, when I wrote all the lyrics to that, I was on a vacation in Mexico, and I had a long time driving in a car, you know, and I had my headphones on, and I'm listening to some of the music that Ron had, and I had no title, I had nothing, but you know, just driving for a couple hours, going to the place we were at, my wife and my friends, everybody's with us, and they're going, "What are you doing?" You know, about every 10 minutes. I say, "I'm writing a song." You know, they're like, "What do you mean you're writing a song?" Because I have my headphones on, and when the world's, you know, I'm singing, I'm saying, I can't forget this, I can't forget that, or whatever. You know what I mean? So I never know exactly what's going to happen. And then, of course, then we get to go hotel, and everybody thinks it's time to go party. And yeah, I want to go party, but I'm not going to lose my idea.
Right.
So I'm in the room writing the lyrics while everybody else is out partying, having a great time. You know, I'm like, no, man, I got to get this down now, because you never know when the inspiration is going to hit. You just don't.
And it's got to be hard, I'm guessing here, because I'm a terrible musician, but it has to be hard when you're a professional musician to convince people. Let me put it this way. You don't see construction guys grabbing an extra block of wood and just practicing banging nails, you know, for you, but for people in your line of work as a job. And I know you don't probably consider it a full-time job,
Best hobby.
but it's that kind of a thing that it doesn't wait either. It's not like there's the famous Seinfeld episode where he scribbled something on a piece of paper, then he forgot what it was. He spends the whole episode trying to remember what it was. That is songwriting.
Many times, trust me. But luckily, now that you have cell phones, I used to carry a handheld, small little mini recorder around with me, a little mini cassette thing. I used to have one of those.
Right.
Now I have the phone, so it's just like blah 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 blah. You know, it's like, don't forget this, and then maybe it could be 3 months go by.
Sure.
And by that time I have 15 ideas, and I got to go back and try to figure out which one I like the best to work on, because it takes a lot of time to produce a song and record it, play all the instruments, and do all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So you're sitting there saying to yourself, well, which one out of the last 10 songs that I wrote in my head and they're ready to start going, which one do I put down? You know, and when we're doing the Babylon AD stuff, of course, it's, well, I got to work on the stuff that's the heavier stuff, you know?
Right. Certainly, man. Well, dude, let's talk about When the World Stops, newest release, coming out later this year. On working with my friend John Kivel, which is great because John is awesome. I'm taking this from the press release, so tell me it's garbage if it's garbage. But the press release talks about how you have a different kind of excitement toward these songs than even the last record. What was it that made these songs so much more inspired for you?
Well, I'm not sure exactly that's true. And I don't even remember what the press release says right now. But because the last record, I felt we had some really, really good, strong songs on there, right? I'm not going to say all 10 or 11 songs were great songs. You know what I mean? There was some great ones and there was some good ones. And there was a couple that are, you know, they're album worthy, you know? But this album, for instance, I was just talking to Tim Binder. He's our radio programmer
I know
guy.
Tim.
Yeah, you know Tim, and I just talked to him about an hour ago, and he was saying, "Gosh, damn, Derek, I don't know what song to pick because they're all different, but they're all great, you know." So I said, "Well, can you give me like maybe the best four?" So we talked about it, and you know, for touring purposes, playing live and things like that, and for what's going to be the singles. We know when the world stops going to be a single, but we have a great ballad, but we probably could never play it live because it's mainly piano.
Okay.
You know? And it's about 6.5 minutes long. Radio don't like to play that, but
Right.
he's like, man, we could cut this down to 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It could be, you know, it's a great ballad. It's called Love Is Cruel. But we have a lot of, here's what I'd say. We have a lot of different types of songs on this album.
Okay.
Even though they all sound like Babylon A.D., they're different speeds, different subjects, you know, things like that, different colors, musical instruments, you know, not just heavy guitars all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think maybe I was trying to say, you know.
Sure.
It's the Motley Crue album that shocked the world. 1994's self-titled release with its brand new sound and brand new voice in John Corabi. Fans were divided, critics were stunned, and the label pulled the plug. But for some, including rock critic CHRIS Akin, it was a game changer. In his latest book, CHRIS Akin takes you on a journey through this polarizing album, sharing his personal experiences and the impact it had on the rock scene. Love it or hate it, you can't ignore it. Get your copy now at chrisakin.net or on Amazon.
Do you think they all sound like Babylon A.D. because musically they fit the old, or do they all sound like Babylon A.D. because musically they include Derek Davis writing most of it?
Both, and also the musicianship. I mean, I can't make Ron play the lead guitar player. I can't make him play a different way. He's going to play the way he plays. So that's, you know, Bangle the Bells kind of hammer swings. You know, he plays those kind of riffs. You know, so when we're writing or whenever recording or anything, that's his sound. So a combination of him and John, the guitar players, and the drummer and bass player, you know, that we have now, we are Babylon A.D. So, you know, you really can't change your stripes and become NXS or sounding or something like that. You know, you just can't do it. Or, hey, you guys sound like Bob Seger now. You know, I mean, I guess you could attempt it, but it's not going to be good, you know?
Right. Certainly, man. Well, dude, let's talk about the what is the first single, which was When the World Stops. You released it right before your whiskey show, I believe. What was it about that song that not only convinced you it's the first one you wanted to share with people, but also convinced you that it was strong enough to be the title track for this collection?
You know, I kind of knew it. You know, listening to all the songs, I mean, I just knew it right off the bat, you know, When the World Stops. And the video is amazing, man. When it's going to come out next week, I think on the 4th or the 5th, it's going to be premiered next week, along with the single drops next week. And then we have the whiskey show on the 8th. So I don't know, man. And then when the band played it, it was pretty much obvious. Like, this is the song, you know what I mean? Okay. Got that up tempo, almost Kid Goes Wild type of thing, you know, to it. Hammer swings down. It's just got it's a great story. You know, it's an apocalyptic love story.
Sure.
You know, about the end of the world, two lovers, you know, type of thing. So it's really cool, man. The video is awesome.
That's awesome, man. Now, what is it that drives you, you know, professionally? Forget the music. Obviously, the musical is there, but the word business does follow music in this world these days, unfortunately, but true. Yeah. And the business is more tough than it's ever been before. For you, how hard is it to get a band that did have success in the 80s or in the early 90s, I guess, you know, but a band that had success and then went away for a while? How hard is it to convince Sirius XM and Spotify playlists and whatever, entities that weren't there when you guys were happening the first time? How hard is it to get them on board with what you're doing?
Well, it's really hard. Right. especially for bands like us, or any band that came out of our era, it's kind of like you're trying to convince people, hey, even though we did stuff back in the day, and most people might think of us as an old hair band or something like that. We're really not, man. We're still plugging along, still moving along. You know what I mean? This just happens to be our forte and the type of music that we play. Hard rock, Aerosmith meets AC/DC at Tesla's house or something,
Sure.
somewhere around there, So yeah, I mean, it's hard for any band that was around in the late '80s, early '90s to try to get their foot in the door for something new. It's just really hard. But at the same time, man, I don't write songs and I don't create stuff. To be honest with you, I mean, yeah, I want everybody to like it, of course. At the end of the day, I'm the one that's got to live with it and play it back to the speakers. And if I don't like it, then something's wrong. And if I dig it and nobody else does, then it's like, well, screw you, man. I dig it.
Right.
So I kind of make songs. I do songs for me. I do them for me.
Sure. And your band is one of those. There's a select few bands from the 80s, 90s era that are grossly miscategorized. And you named one with Tesla, who I would put you guys in the same boat. Same with like a Cinderella, These bands, if you ask the average person that's 25 to 35 now about those bands, well, the old hair band. It's like, well, no,
Right.
and that has to be frustrating for you to literally have to fight against a label that just doesn't even fit you or the music you do.
Yeah, it's like I would really like to know the name of the person that thought that up. I mean, who is it? You know what I mean? Who is it, man, that just labeled that? Who's the dude, or chick? How did it happen? I just remember being on the road in like 92 and Nirvana had just came out and we're on the bus and some chicks got on the bus after the show. And one of the chicks was being really smart ass. And she goes, I've loved your band forever, but I think you're going away. And I went, what? And she goes, yeah, you guys are a hair band now. And I didn't know what the hell she was talking about.
Right.
I was like, okay, hair band. What do you mean hair band? Because we have long hair? No, hair bands are out now. Don't you know? And I'm like, we've been on the road for like 3 months, right?
Sure.
We hadn't been watching TV, keeping up with stuff, I guess on MTV and everything was going on. And we were oblivious because all we did was play and party every night, And these chicks just pretty much just read us like, you guys are over, man. I hate to tell you, we love your band, but you guys are hair bands. And it was just the weirdest thing, weirdest feeling. I was like, what do you mean we're over? Just some fans are telling us that.
Sure.
But about six months later, we got dropped.
And it's such a weird thing. It had to be for you guys because, like you said, you were on the road, and I know a million bands. You guys never know what's going on when you're on the road.
Yeah, you didn't have cell phones in those days either. So
right, exactly. So you'd make a call to your manager or something at the truck stop or something. Hey, we selling? What are we doing?
Yeah.
The other thing that I think had to be weird is right when you guys were hitting was also when Nirvana was hitting. So you just couldn't even say, if I remember the timing right, and I'm 56, so I'm right in that era.
Yeah.
You guys were having your biggest boom right at that time with the RoboCop soundtrack and with Bang Goes the Bells and everything was exactly when Nirvana was hitting. So you guys had to be more blindsided than a lot of bands that were at home and saw it coming.
Absolutely, man. We were totally blindsided, and I seen the Nirvana video and I thought it was great. I just thought, oh man, these guys are really good. This is a cool song. This is a cool band. And that's was like, wait a minute now. I got to buy a plaid shirt and,
get your shoes on stage, right?
Well, they got long hair. Maybe it's not as long as mine, but I mean, what are people talking about? This is hard rock, I don't really hear a lead blasted away, but still it's heavy. I mean, I just didn't get it, man, to tell you the truth. I didn't get it. I still don't get it.
Yeah, I never understood why one had to die because the other one came. That's always been my, and we can point to records that bands that had success in the 80s did in the 90s that were great. This episode of the CMS Network is brought to you by our sponsor, Blackout Coffee. If you are a coffee lover, you will love what they are selling over at Blackout Coffee. make sure you get yourself some. The only thing woke about this company is the drinker of the coffee, because it gives you quite a jolt. I am a personal fan of the Brutal Awakening Dark Roast, but everybody's a little bit different. Make sure you get what is your favorite today. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. Use the promo code CHRIA20 to save 20% on your first order. It's that simple. So one more time, blackoutcoffee.com. That is the link, or use the full link if you're going to shop around. That is scrolling on the bottom, and get yourself some of the best coffee that is out there today. blackoutcoffee.com. I always point to Vicious Circle by LA Guns. To me, my favorite record by them came out in '94. No one cared because we were into Soundgarden and Stone Temple Pilots and, all that at that point. But that's a great record. And there's a lot of those records. It never and maybe it's just the United States is fickle. You can answer that probably better than me. But it just seems like the United States is so easily led by media where, like the Europeans, if they like it, they still like it 40 years later.
Yeah, they do, man. And when you play concerts over there, I mean, you got hardcore fans over there. They got their patches and they got their bands. It's like they got a lot of mini gangs over there, kind of like in a weird way. Like, that's my band, Motorhead, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Over here, it's like just you got. It's not even 5 minutes of 15 minutes of fame anymore. It's like 15 seconds of whatever may be the flavor of the week. You know.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy, man. Well, dude, since we're talking about touring, obviously you have a big tour coming up. Talk a little bit about this tour and how it all came together.
Well, it came together a few months ago when some agents heard that we were putting together a new record and everything, and I said, well, let's try to time it when the album comes out instead of just going out in like June or July before we're ready, So we pretty much timed it perfect. We got lucky with that. There's a lot of festivals and a lot of shows in the UK. So we're going to do the Whiskey next on the 8th, a couple weeks from now, and then we're going to do Denver, and we're going to do Salt Lake City, and then we take off to the UK. We'll be over there for about a month. And then we play. We're pretty excited. We're going to play Greece.
Oh wow, nice.
That's pretty cool. We're going to go. It's really fun, man. And, I mean, the only thing I'm thinking is, man, I'm gonna be gone away from home for a month.
Right?
A long time nowadays. Not when you're 19 or 20, but
right
when you're settled with a house and kids and shit like that. Like, got a month. That's a long time, man.
I have said this to anybody that listens. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't like staying at a buddy's house overnight when I've had too much to drink. I don't even like that. I can't imagine 30, 60, 90 hotel to hotel to hotel.
That's what I was just going to bring up. Some of the gigs you might have to drive 4 hours, and then maybe a crappy hotel. You never really know, but you got the show and you get to pretend you're a rock star for an hour and a half,
Right.
And you're off the show and then back. Really, then that's when the work starts again, right? It's like, you got to go back to the hotel, have a few drinks, have some fun talking to buddies, and starts all over again.
Right.
And it was fun. It was fun when we were younger because, we had a bus and we just traveled down the road in a bus everywhere, but nowadays you take smaller bands and things like that. There's 5 or 6 guys in a band, and it's not really exactly the same. It's just the same when you hit the stage.
Right. It's a whole lot different when somebody has to stay sober to drive the van,
Exactly.
That's a big one there.
Luckily, we got a couple guys that don't stay sober.
Right on, man. Well, dude, obviously, man, with the new record and the tour, a lot of excitement going on around you and around Babylon A.D. What do you hope that this accomplishes? Do you have because I don't even understand what the goals would be in 2025, 2026. Is the goal selling X number of units or this number of streams or just playing X number of shows in X number of places? I mean, what is the goal for you?
Yeah, that's, it's kind of weird because caught between thinking, because I think the same thing sometimes. What's the, you throw your hands up, you go, what the hell's the point? Sometimes.
Right.
What's the goal? Because you're not going to sell 1 million albums. You're not going to get to even close to where you were at one time, but I think it goes back to, like I said before, I I can't stop who I am creating and doing things. So of course I would like it to be as successful as I possibly can. But I think it's maybe playing some bigger shows, you know, hopefully selling more units, just getting the word out that that we're still around, that we're still relevant, that we still have something to say, you know, that we're not just resting on our laurels. Because a lot of bands, I'm watching these, I'm seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook for a lot of bands that were big back in the day, and there's no point of making a record. Nobody buys records nowadays. It's why waste your time? Blah blah blah. And to me, I say, you know, boo hoo, you freaking sissy. You know, basically, you're saying you don't have the talent anymore to write a song, or you don't have the energy, or you don't have the willpower. You know what I mean? Or maybe when you did back then, it was, you know, you just did it because you weren't really an artist. You were just
Sure.
looking for, you know, and it's different, I think, for people that write music. Like Paul McCartney, I don't think that guy could stop writing music. Just
Sure.
you can't do it. You know,
No.
has an outlet.
Mhm.
And so some of these guys, they just rest on their laurels. They don't make an album for 20 years, but they're playing some really good shows though.
Sure. Well,
Because
and the other thing to it too, Derek, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't, is that so many that came up in our era were coddled. They don't know how to do the work. They never had to do the, you know, outside of when their band was a baby band and putting up flyers. They never designed T-shirts. They never kept track of inventory and accounting and all. They had people that did that, and
yeah, it's tough,
I think a lot of them can't do that. They can't put their brain around it is business. You know, they still think of it as a party.
yeah. And what's funny is, like, I mean, believe me, man, I do a lot of stuff in this band, man. Not
Sure.
just, I basically manage the band with my manager, like co-managing.
Mhm.
But it's a lot of friggin' work, like you said, man. I gotta, you know, sometimes make the t-shirts, the designs myself sometimes, or, you know, outsource. It's like I'm always working for the band, you know what I
Sure.
mean? And I don't mind it because, you know, you want something done right, you do it yourself, you know? But
Correct.
a lot of hours, man. I'd rather be just in the studio, just working on a song than working on all this other shit that doesn't really have, you know, it's not really fun for me. It's just
Right.
something I have to do. Accounting, banking, all this other crap, man, that, you know, contacting different people, it goes on and on and on.
Sure. Miss the old days when someone else did that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, we got a PR person, you know, Michael's great. We got the
Sure.
radio people, we got the good management, things like that. But man, you know, they want me to create a lot of stuff too. Like, hey,
Right.
you got this together, you got to get that together. We need a, you know, 30-second video for this. We need, you know, it's like, you know, it's a lot of work, man. You
I
know,
get it. It is, man. Well, dude, here on this show, we try to tell everybody not to simply stream music, but to actually go and buy something. So
Right.
where is the best place that we could tell people to buy a CD, a shirt, vinyl, whatever it would be? Where will the best place be?
the easiest place to do is just go to our website, babylonadband.com. You know, we've got a shop there with the t-shirts and stuff like that, the record and everything. And this album too, we'll do the same thing. We'll throw this album out there, the t-shirts, everything's gonna be out. But you know, the album is not gonna be dropped until like the 3rd or 4th week of August.
Okay,
The single comes out next week.
great.
So yeah, I mean, that's the best way to do it. Or, you know, we'll have tons of different links to go to and things like that. You know, I mean, it's going to be all over the place. You know,
Awesome.
that's not hard. And of course, you know, Amazon still sells CDs and things like that. You know, we're going to make it, we're working on getting the album together too. So we'll have CD, album, digital, you know, so it'll be out there.
Excellent. Well, dude, it's an exciting time for Babylon AD. When the World Stops, coming here in another month and a half or so, it sounds like. And obviously the single will be out by the time people see this, and you'll be on tour. So it's a great time, man. So good luck with the tour, man. And I hope it goes great for you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you having me on.